Greeting from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to today's Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And WrestleMania weekend has begun. It's Thursday, April 4th. The independent scene currently is killing it. We had a Defy show this morning, which featured just an absolute banger of a bout between CCK and the Moonlight Express. It was really good. We have Josh Barnett's Bloodsport starting in an hour. It's a great time for wrestling. It absolutely is. Of course, WrestleMania weekend, it's the best time of the year for us wrestling fans. And today, you guys have probably noticed, it's a Thursday and I'm on the show. That doesn't usually happen. Well, it's WrestleMania weekend. The Matrix has collapsed. Everything's gone all over the place. And I'm on a Throwback Thursday. And we're going to be talking our favorite WrestleMania shows. And of course, also AEW Dynamite. But also joining me today, we firstly have the guy who you're used to see hosting on Thursdays, Mr. Clark Taylor. How are things, Clark?
What's going on, Ben? I'm stoked to be here as usual. It's still a Throwback Thursday in my eyes. We're going to throw it back, of course. Fired up to talk about Dynamite. And is there a better time to be a wrestling fan than in WrestleMania week? I mean, come on.
No.
It doesn't get any better. Let's get into it. It's going to be awesome. It's not RC Wednesday, though. It's RC Thursday, first time ever. Sorry, no spoilers there. I didn't say the full
It was
name.
the first time in a while, Clark, you have spoiled who the third person is, so I'll let it slide, right? Also joining us today, as Clark just said, we have Chaos. How are you, Chaos?
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Chaos, and this is definitely a multiverse because it looks like in this portal. Ben Allison is obviously was unsatisfied with the ratings. He's come onto the show and brought it earlier and has put me on here because this is weird for me on the Thursday. But I'm happy to be here to talk about Dynamite and, of course, WrestleMania, as my anticipation level has gone up pretty much 80%. And I just can't wait for Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, we got that. We're going to talk about Dynamite as well as other things. Let's get straight to it, shall we?
Absolutely. And don't worry, guys. The usual Throwback Thursday crew will be here next week. Just Shard's gone on his honeymoon and Anthony's gone to watch WrestleMania. So they've got a busy weekend planned. We have Matt Williams in the chat saying, I'm about to watch Bloodsport for the first time ever. Is it a shoot or is it predetermined or what? It's pro wrestling, which just looks like done in an MMA-like way.
No rings, but it's so physical. And if you like both, it is it's the most sublime combo I've seen yet, personally. I don't mean to jump in on that question, but
it's true.
Right, it's completely different than, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to knock Raw Underground and other things we've seen like that. This is a completely different animal you're getting into. This is stiff. It's a slugfest. These look like fights in a pro wrestling arena, and that's the beauty of it. And that's what to me makes it one of the most exciting things, especially Mania week. They always deliver. That's one of my favorite cards to watch.
I said it in the article the other day I wrote for WrestlingRepublic.com. It is, when there's so much wrestling on WrestleMania weekend, it is the perfect palate cleanser. Just something so different, and it is so fun. We've got some people on Instagram saying, have we acknowledged the tribal chief today? I acknowledge the tribal chief every day. And also somebody else is saying, is it only me who wants Roman Reigns to win? No, I certainly want him to spear Cody in half, and for all the Cody crybabies to not be able to finish their story. Josh Markowitz is saying, Ben, on a Thursday show, anything can happen Mania week. You are right about that. And we have numero one Superfly in the chat as well. Shout out to you. Let's just jump headfirst into AEW Dynamite because we all know about the CM Punk the CM Punk interview of Ariel Helwani earlier this week, where he kind of just he took some shots at AEW, to say the very least. Tony Khan didn't reply to it. I thought that was very mature of him. I thought, they were just going to be the bigger person and just, not get in the way of anything. But Adam Copeland opened up Dynamite with basically a promo saying AEW is fine. It's where the best wrestle, all of this stuff. And I thought it was delivered well by Adam Copeland. But he basically, and it's really ironic, right? He cut a promo essentially explaining why it's pointless to cut a promo like he was cutting. Because it was like, why? Like, this isn't helping anything. It's not making anything worse, but it's also not helping anything either. I mean, Clark, I'll go to you first. What are your thoughts on this one?
So the way I look at this is pretty simple. I think there's a definite reason that Adam Copeland was the one sent out there. It's so much safer than a number of names you could have sent out there. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. CM Punk was, what was it, Monday morning with Ariel. He was feeling froggy and he jumped. And so it is what it is. And you got to have some kind of a response for what this was. I totally agree with your point about, look, it's a little bit goofy that he kind of cut a promo about the irrelevance of this promo, but they did have to say and do something. And that's where I actually liked that was the case. They had to say and do something. And he basically explained that we don't have to say and do something without saying a ton. And that's super hard to do. And I don't know if there's anybody on the AEW roster other than Adam Copeland who could have done it where we would have been so accepting. Samoa Joe might have been the only other choice I could possibly think of to deliver a promo like this, as we're going to respond by kind of not responding and be tongue-in-cheek about
respond.
it. Yes, you did. At the end of the day, right? If we're gonna, write it all down, yes. But it was the classiest way I think possible too. And as long as there's no follow-up, I really have no issue with it. It's interesting. He introduces Ospreay. I thought that was as cool as anything, right? To give the Ospreay rub at the end of it, Adam Copeland talking about the future of the business, that was a veiled shot, if anything. But if that's taken personally after the shots fired the other way this week, I don't get it. I didn't have a huge issue with the segment at all. Was it the most entertaining Adam Copeland promo? No. Was it like absolutely necessary? Probably not. But as far as, there's been a lot of scenarios like this that we've broken down over the years, and like, would we have solved it that way? Would I have solved it that way? Is that how I would have gone about this? I don't know how you do actually respond to what happened on Monday, if not just acting like it never happened.
I feel like I think is what they should have done.
See, I feel like acting like it never happened is a little bit like, then you kind of are not you personally, I mean like the AEW looks like we don't get it, right? Like they heard it. Don't play coy there, This was the closest you could toe the line. They didn't cross it. They didn't go back and start firing big shots. They just,
you're right.
Copeland went out and said, we're still here. We'd still built something huge. And look at our big new signing, and gave him the rub. If you break it down like that, because again, I completely hear, like, maybe don't say anything. If they don't say anything, though, are we not in 2 weeks like, I can't believe they just let that fly, right?
I mean,
like,
I think universally
be
people
some
were
of
saying
that
on social media to ignore it.
I mean, universally is a reach there. I think there's definitely people on social media that are super biased towards AEW that are like, fire back, break another throne, right? Like there's plenty of that kind of stuff. Right. There's plenty of stuff like that on social media. I'm like, universally is a bit of a reach there.
Probably. You're all right there.
I'm just saying, like,
I mean, I'd have, if you were going to do it and you were going to do it with Adam Copeland, I'd have had him come out to cut a promo on Malachi Black or happened on Collision, have it about that, and then find a way to be really smart, and then have the middle of the promo relate to Adam Copeland going on a passionate thing about why AEW is so great, why he wouldn't want to be anywhere else, instead of him coming out and saying, I've seen everything this weekend, so I wanted to say this. Like, I feel like they could have made it feel a lot more natural and to do with the storyline than they did.
I completely hear that too. I don't think this had to do with much storyline. It shouldn't either, even though like it could. Like there might be some storyline that comes out of this, though there is no payoff. He didn't say CM Punk's name. He didn't mention the WWE explicitly, right? He just said that he had heard the stuff over the weekend, right? That's all he said. It was simple, like, hey, I heard it. And to acknowledge that, I think that's fair. I think that's fair for Copeland. In where he's standing is a tough place to stand. You're a Hall of Famer. You're going to get backlash for like, I don't like you because you left, from a section of the fan base, of the pro wrestling fan base, right? You're going to get that.
You will.
And so, I mean, it's still Edge standing in the ring. I know he's Adam Copeland now, but it is same dude. And he's not saying that WWE is no good or any of that. To me, the biggest thing I took from it was, we're still here, and here's Will Ospreay, who's a world class and an absolute stud. And so I think if you're going to handle this one with, comparatively speaking to other scenarios where it's been like this with AEW, this was handled about as classy as you possibly could.
That is true. I mean, another issue which a lot of people are bringing up is what Pierce is saying in the chat. Happy Mania weekend, Pierce. But he's saying, which has now been confirmed by Tony Khan in the last hour, that there were AEW releases this past week. It was mainly, with the lower card guys, the ROH guys. But when, this promo was a day after those releases, it's top of like how great everything is, then it does come across maybe a little bit like in bad taste, I guess. And that's why I kind of feel like if they did it a bit more naturally, maybe there wouldn't have been that issue. But what are your thoughts, Chaos?
Yeah, I agree. I felt this was definitely a bit forced. But AEW is not really the first to ever do this. I remember when the stuff with Vince McMahon came out with the first round, then they randomly threw out Titus O'Neil to come out and could do a random promo at the beginning of SmackDown. I was like, we haven't seen this guy in months, if not years, and you're bringing him out and saying how great this place is. And then the week after, Stephanie McMahon came out saying, let's all praise him and all this stuff. They're not a stranger to it either. This could have been handled a lot better. I don't think they really need to acknowledge it, but of all people, you have to send out Adam Copeland. The reason I say that is because, I think Adam Copeland, I don't think you rate CM Punk that much, because I remember during the CM Punk and MJF feud, and remember when CM Punk called MJF, you're just a low rent Miz. And then the week after, I think Edge was feuding with the Miz at the time, and he was just like, you got some random guy talking to you in other promotions just to get a cheap pop. So I think he definitely has something against Punk over these years. I don't know what it is, but
that's a good point.
You know what I mean? Of all people, you had to bring him out. But I don't think it really benefited anyone. I think that, I think just not acknowledging it, I don't think that puts them in a bad light either. Especially when, nothing really came out of this. It's and it was just awkward timing, like you said, with the releases. I don't think this benefited anyone, and it was just out of place. Didn't really forward anything. Yeah, they could have just ignored it. If it's that good, you don't need to force it in everyone's face to say that this place is awesome. Just let it happen. Be natural, like you said. Be genuine. Just prove it. Prove it in the ring. Prove it in the storylines. You don't need to say this place is great just because I'm getting a good paycheck. You know what I mean? So
it's a good point. It's a good point. And I do think he meant what he said. And I agree with Clark that it was very classy in how they did it. But to your point, was it necessary? No. To Pierce's point, could it have been inferred in a bad way? Yes, it could have. And that's kind of the issue here. We've got a lot of comments. We have a comment from David Marge, and we have a comment above from Matt Williams talking about that contract signing, which we will get into later on, because that was really, really great. Matt Williams bringing up how WWE cuts people every 6 months. You're bang on right there, Matt. There's no arguing about it. But at the same time, we'd say the exact same thing if WWE did a promo about how great the company is the day after releasing talents, which is historically something that they probably do. And it is historically something we'd bash.
I do also think, though, that this one had a lot more to do with the interview than it did the cuts. And to add the cuts as a layer is unfair.
It did. Well, it's not unfair because it did happen. It
did happen. But just
guys who went on Twitter on Tuesday night talking about how they were considering quitting wrestling because they got released. And one of those guys has been rehired, to be fair, in Anthony Henry. So fair play to Tony Khan for bringing him back very quickly. But it's these releases, I don't want to say they're worse than the WWE ones because that's not, you cannot at all relate it.
Not
But the
comparable.
fact is that these guys who were let go were probably at a lower position than the lower guys who WWE released financially. So it's a little bit more rougher. Now, it'll still happen in every business. That's not me having a go at AEW. It happens in business. But from an emotional standpoint,
It's tough.
it is a little more tough.
You look at like Drake
Obvious.
Maverick years ago with WWE, right? Like
Yeah.
different position than
that was,
other releases. It's gut-wrenching.
And even he would have been earning a lot more than some of these guys who are getting thingied now. I mean, but bringing that back, that really was bad.
Brutal.
Oh,
It's great
gosh.
the way that it played out, but it was brutal.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think Anthony Henry too, like, Tony Khan brought him back. He was gone for like 24 hours, but he's back now. Anyway, let's move on, and let's move on from talking about people who have gone to people who are sure in AEW, because Will Ospreay arrived last month and he's just putting on banger after banger after banger. And he put on another banger this week with Powerhouse Hobbs in an opener, which I quite frankly loved on Dynamite. Then after that, Danielson came down. Him and Ospreay had a little bit of a stare off. They're teasing that match for Dynasty once again before Danielson and Archer had another solid match, right? So 2 solid matches to start off the show. I was thoroughly enjoyed. I was entertained. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good start to the show, but the one issue the one concern I have going forward with this, Will Ospreay, I love him, but he can't work at this pace every week. He really cannot. Like, at some point, he's going to get hurt. What are your thoughts, Clark?
I was stunned by, Ben, because I would have said, I think not only can he work at this pace every week, that's why he signed. I'm like, if he's in the WWE, he's working more nights than just this one weekly with live shows and everything. And my point
what
is,
he does, though,
still in live events, he's going to be doing what he does. He's going to be doing it more than once a week, not just on SmackDown. He's doing it in Raleigh, North Carolina, and in, Saskatoon next or whatever, right? Like, I think his pace, and that's what makes him so great. What I loved the most about these 2 matches, they're both awesome. They both took down absolute giants, absolute beasts. I want this to be anything you can do, I can do better. One of my favorite Nike commercials of all time. Anything you can do, I can do better, and keep one-upping each other until this match happens. The dream match, Ospreay and Danielson. I love it. I'm all over it. And 2 dudes that can go out there every week and prove pacing, prove that they can hold up for as long and as hard as they need to in the match. Ospreay and Danielson, both of them, I believe in on that. Not saying I completely disagree. It is what he does in the ring, bell to bell. It's tough to do every week, no doubt, but that is part of the pro wrestling business. And I think if anybody can handle it, it's Will Ospreay.
Nobody does what he does every week. The closest, I guess, is Darby Allin, but even him, he wasn't doing some of the stuff which Ospreay does, where it's just, it's absolutely, you're gonna get hurt. Or the thing is, he does stuff safely. You are right, but it'll still hurt you because they're high impact moves. Later on in life, you're gonna feel it.
Maybe.
And I just think somebody needs to tell him to slow down. On the Dynamite shows themselves, and then go full pace at the pay-per-views, like Kenny Omega did.
I think he's good. I sincerely think it's one of those where you trust the guy. He's had serious injuries, but he's never had like a career threatening. He's not had one where he's out 16, 18, 20 months, something like that. Never. He's in good health. He works as safe as he can. He's, I think, just that athletically above other wrestlers. And so it is hard. He almost deserves to be in like his own category when it comes to things like that, because there's plenty of guys that use moves within his move set from time to time, work more days a week, maybe even. I think that was part of it, is scheduling, why he went to AEW in the first place.
Yeah.
And he knows his body better than anybody else. So I would trust Ospreay on that one, just as I would trust Danielson. I understand Danielson's situation is completely separate because of the past injury to the head, but but he's proven he can go. He can go 60 minutes. He's done it a bunch of times.
And he looks safe as well.
Yeah, and to me, I think the key to this whole thing and what I loved so much about last night was, again, back to my favorite old commercial. Anything you can do, I can do better, and just keep one-upping each other until it's time to do it in the ring.
I am enjoying the story that they are telling with that. I don't know, without sounding like Carty Carnett for a second, the issue is, right, when you're doing all this high-risk stuff, the next generation are going to try and do it more, or at least equal it, maybe push it further. And I think it's going to get to the point where this is going to hurt the business because you cannot expect people to do this every week.
Wouldn't you say the same
cannot.
about the Bucks?
You can, and I have. But at the same time, they're not doing like that crazy stuff every single week. And when they were, I was saying about it. But even then, on Dynamite, they weren't going as crazy as Will Ospreay is going. But we're going to have to wait and see, right? Maybe he's just doing this at the start of his run to prove to the viewers he can do it. And then maybe in a few months' time, he'll only bring it out for, pay-per-views or major matches. Who knows? Maybe that's what's
that dang good, man. I think he might just be that dang good.
He might be, but he's still human. He's still got body parts.
Absolutely. That's a fact.
I mean, we've got a few comments here. P.S. saying, remember when Tony said he'd never do budget cuts? I mean, things change. That was stupid. I mean, a lot of pretty much everything that TK, Cody, the Bucks said at the start of AEW, they've gone against because they realized, hang on a second, it makes sense. And that's part of learning. It is. That's going to happen anyway. Just in hindsight, yes, it's funny, but I mean, everybody's a hypocrite in life anyway. But let's now move on. Let's move on to talk about, actually, before we talk about something, one thing which is not hypocritical, because I genuinely use it and I genuinely think it's amazing, is Next Level. Because guys, you should be saying it every day. There's so many links in so many places in this day and age. Well, we've teamed up with Next Level to put all our links in one simple place for you guys. You can click nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms, all linked in one place, plus exclusive content, plus giveaways. If you currently click that link, scroll to the bottom, you have an opportunity to win WWE 2K24, a free copy. Why wouldn't you do that? It's free to enter. It's a no-brainer. It's a great link. Once again, nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms, all linked in one easy place. But Chaos, I'm going to bring you back in for a second because I want to talk to you about something which our AEW reviewer, David Sheldon, I think maybe despise isn't strong enough. He absolutely just hated it with all his being, and that was Jay White versus Billy Gunn from last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. I've hated the story. I've complained all the way along, but Chaos, what were your thoughts on this match?
Boy, that's crazy because I thought this was probably one of the matches of the night. I mean, it was action-packed, it was full of tension, and that is also all of that is also an out of season April Fool's joke. So
I was worried for a second.
Nah, like seriously, I know we keep it universal around here, but I gotta say this. Hold on. I almost saw, yeah. Okay, so yeah, what was that? What was going on here? This match was a pile of. It was first off, the entrance, obviously you'd see Billy Gunn looking jacked as ever, coming down the ramp and all that stuff, beating down Jay White. And I'm pretty sure, I think I saw someone on one of the comments that basically said, I'm pretty sure they must have thought that they were in picture for a majority of their match because it was a whole bunch of nothing happening on the outside. And for some reason, Aubrey couldn't get them back in the ring for a good 5-10 minutes. And this is a normal singles match. And then, yeah, it was just all over the place. It was choppy as hell. There was a lot of offense from Billy Gunn, barely anything from Jay White. He tried to hit the switchblade, obviously it got reversed. Then he wanted to bring in some weapons. The Suns come in, try to hide, try to protect Jay White to say, please don't hurt him. He's our best friend, all this kind of stuff. And then the only offense that Jay White gets is a low blow, which is and it comes to a disqualification. All this from nothing. And then you see Acclaim just come out with, I'm sorry, the Acclaim is an absolute dumpster fire right now. I feel like they've lost all credibility. They've reduced the trios titles to absolutely nothing. The belt design, ever since they changed it to the belt design, they just become worthless. I'm sorry, Soul, but they look ass. And
Ooh.
yeah, I like
pun intended.
Pun intended, definitely. The thing with Max Caster, something is off with him. Like there's some I don't know what is going on. Both inside and outside the ring. Yeah, they've lost all momentum that they've gained. This thing needs to hurry up and die. And yeah, it was just it does nothing for nobody. Well, I don't want to see Billy Gunn on my TV. Why is he on prime time Dynamite right Wednesdays? It is absolute dumpster fire. This whole thing was absolute. This whole feud is everything about it is just. That's all I can say. Screw this. Move on.
Fair enough. I mean, Matt Williams was in the arena and he hated it. Pierce is saying it was worse than Bushi versus Marufuji, and that
takes some doing. That takes some doing.
I hate to admit this, but like I totally agree. I thought the fans were ready for the Acclaimed, but the Acclaimed weren't ready for what would come after being as over as they were, and like it's just been like they climbed a mountain and now they're on the downhill. So obviously, like there needs to be something there to figure it out, because we're talking about a team that was so over like what, a year ago, and now it's just not the same act. It's not the same deal. Yeah.
Since they won the championships, absolute dumpster fire. Dumpster fire. I'm sorry.
And it's their booking as well. I mean, it was their booking up until a few weeks ago when Max Caster choked in one of the raps, and then they've kind of turned that into a bit of a story, but it doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the story. It's really, really, and I like the fact they made it into a story. That made sense, but then it needs to relate to the bigger story.
The one I feel bad for out of all of them is Jay White. He doesn't deserve this. Yeah. He's the one that is suffering the most of all of them, and there's 6 people in this thing. Yeah, and I feel so bad for him. It's crazy.
He needs to we talked about Ospreay choosing AEW earlier. I think it was the right choice. Okada choosing AEW. I think it was the right choice. Monet choosing AEW. We're gonna have to wait and see, but it could well be a really good choice. Jay White choosing AEW, I think was the complete wrong choice, because his style is just so suited to sports entertainment. And I think he's struggling to get over with the crowds in AEW for partly that reason. Yeah. But now let's move on, because listen, that segment was awful. But one segment which was great was Willow's promo. Willow, honestly, anytime she's involved in anything, it usually ends up being great. And this was awesome. I was worried after the Boston show where she got booed that just maybe that might translate to other arenas. I was terrified about it because she's such a naturally gifted babyface. But oh no, I worried for no reason. She's still over as anything as a babyface. And yeah, her promo last night was exceptional. Monet coming out, I thought was great. Only issue I have is the ranking system. They brought it back again last week. They let it be abandoned for a few weeks, then they brought it back. Well, now it's pointless again because Mercedes Moné has skipped the line. And I get it. You're going to say she's the CEO, whatever. Doesn't matter. You either have a ranking system or you don't. If you have it, you got to follow it. And she hasn't. She's making her debut at Double or Nothing against either Willow or Julia Hart. Presumably, it's going to be Willow. It's a long time to wait. And she's just skipped the line. What are your thoughts, Clark?
I love Willow Nightingale so much. On the microphone, like, so excellent. Like, so good. I love Stokely. Stokely's awesome. Can we get more Stokely Hathaway? Like, please. Absolutely. Seriously. And Monet as well. As far as the rankings thing, I'll address that one really quick. If you look at the rankings, basically in any sport that has rankings. So, like, I'm a huge fan of diehard of 2 of them. College basketball, I'm a diehard Kansas Jayhawks fan. Rankings, they got the AP poll, the Associated Press poll, and the coaches poll, right? So 2 of them. The Associated Press have a poll, and so do the coaches. They vote on the top 25 teams in the country, and that's what you go off of for the NCAA tournament. Nobody likes how the votes go down but everybody honors the rankings. That's part of the deal. Nobody likes, they're like, how could Virginia be number 7 when they beat Duke and Duke's number 5? And it's like, well, that's how the votes went down. You look at the UFC rankings, they don't really release how those go down. They don't really release. There's no system. I assume it's some guy sitting at a computer just like, I like it like this. I like it like that. Like it's that's how it happens. But then they're honored in the context of the performances, because often you end up with the number 1 fighter against the champion. Oh, unless you don't. They don't even always honor them. Sometimes you get number 7 challenging for the title, number 6, number 4. Some people jump the line all the time. Boxing, even worse. Ring Magazine, it's voted on by everybody at the magazine. That's the rankings.
But that's not an official.
Those are the big ones.
Thing.
And so the number 1 contender
like
doesn't. The number 1 contender doesn't get. UFC rankings are official as could be.
And nobody goes from
the UFC.
unranked the title shot in UFC.
What?
Nobody's, at least not in the last few years, nobody's gone from unranked to
but
getting
people
a
who
title
are
shot.
unranked get put in the rankings to give them a title shot preemptively.
Well, yeah,
when they don't
they
deserve
do
it.
that, but
when they haven't earned it.
But
when they haven't earned it.
That's fair, Clark.
I mean,
but
think about it. So Sean O'Malley
didn't
beat a single opponent inside of the top 10.
No, you're right there, but it's not the same, because at least he beat some people.
Well, that's a lie. Peter Yan was top 10. He beat Peter Yan.
Ronda Rousey?
But he was Ronda Rousey. There you go.
Yeah.
None of these were you just come in and get a title shot. It was never that extreme. What you're saying.
Chris Cyborg was signed, unranked, immediately inserted in the rankings as the number 1 contender, and fought Amanda Nunes for the title. She was unsigned. She was an unsigned talent, clearly the second best fighter on the planet at the weight class, besides Amanda Nunes, the Lioness. They brought her in. They made her number 1 in the rankings. Then she fought for the title. She lost. But she was immediately inserted as the number 1 contender, despite not stepping in the octagon one time. Now, did she fight in other promotions? Is it different when it comes to that backstory-wise? Yes. But do we also know that Mercedes Moné has fought in other promotions? That she has a background? Can we deliver that to benefit the rankings? That would be even better. But to me, I have no issue with, we all know who Mercedes Moné is. We know how big she is. We know how important she is. When it comes to booking and promoting, when it comes to these rankings, she should be at the top. Who else in that division has main evented WrestleMania? You look at her resume.
I'll say this, Clark. If your point would be very valid if they've done this before, or they did this with other stars. They've not done it with any other stars before. She is the exception, and she's not their biggest star she signed.
And I think they need to do it. I think they need to do it closer to actually the way MMA is, so that we continue to talk about the rankings like this, because the rankings should not be perfect. I actually don't think that's sustainable. I think that's been the issue with them so far. I think the rankings need to be in some way controversial, the same way they are in both boxing and mixed martial arts.
Controversial, to be fair.
But they've been controversial in the wrong ways. I think they need to be controversial in look, this is the most accomplished challenger at this point. Explain that. It doesn't need to be strictly off of AEW record. We don't need to be having extra squash matches just to pad a record to have them work their way up. Mercedes Moné should not have to work her way to a title shot. She was signed as a blue chip free agent. She should jump the line in the rankings.
They need to explain that then.
And she's CEO.
That.
Yes. And she's a CEO.
No, don't even. PS is saying, didn't this happen with Deonna? I mean, she won tons of she won quite a few matches. But again, like you were saying, Clark, with UFC, they were against, none of the real, top opponents. But there were still people who, were in the company at least. Like, she still had matches. Yeah. Chaos' secretary saying that the ranking system is absolutely redundant. And David Marge is pointing out Brock Lesnar did it unranked.
He did.
Well, there we are then. I mean, to be fair, that's probably actually the best comparison out of them all, because he hadn't fought in MMA, had he? But at that point,
no. To be fair, no. He lost, and then he got a championship match. That's what happened.
Well, now he beat Heath Herring, but at the time, also the UFC only did top 10s. So like he would have been 11 after beating Heath Herring because Herring was ranked when he beat Herring.
Okay, so
Herring was like 8, and then Brock would have been considered like 11. Gabe Gonzaga got beat by Randy Couture. Sorry, I'm just doing history on MMA there. But then it was Couture.
We need an MMA show.
Yeah, sorry, that's my fault.
but listen, some guys who I wouldn't have an issue with if they skipped the rankings is the Young Bucks. It's part of their character, and I think it's a great character. I've been really enjoying it, and they've been in this tournament against the best friends. I thought this was a fun match. I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying this Young Bucks gimmick, but it was after the match was the big talking point and was really the reason why we're talking about this segment, because Trent turned heel on Orange Cassidy, and this was a shock. I did not see this coming whatsoever. I'm really intrigued to see where this storyline goes between the two. But afterwards, I'm not sure I can see Trent being booked well in AEW as a single star. But what are your thoughts, Chaos?
Yeah, regarding the match, let's start off with the match. It was, in the words of David Sheldon, it was fine. It was fine. It started off very slow. To be fair, for the most part, it was in the background for me. But then it started picking up on the second half, and there was some close calls, some good moments. The right team won. I agree. I'm also liking the EVP storyline. I mean, it's a nice, it's a refreshing take on the Young Bucks. You know, they can't keep on being the flippy doodah guys all the time. I'm liking the fact they're wrestling in their suits. It's quite hilarious. And when they come up with the entrance, they're like, more pyro, please, more pyro. Yes, it's nice. It's nice little touches. I like. Yeah, the match was fine. The right team won. The ending, which is obviously the most talking point. I feel that's long overdue. The best friends needed a revamp, or they should have split a long time ago, in my opinion. They just need a refresh. I'm very excited to see if you're gonna get an Evil Sue. I would love to see an Evil Sue. The only thing is, I'm just wondering, is it a bit too much, because obviously Nick Wayne's mom is a heel as well. So I'm just wondering, is that too much to have two moms being
evil? There's quite a bit of an age gap, isn't there?
A little bit, yeah, that is true. But it'd be hilarious to see an Evil Sue. What I'm more intrigued about is what is happening with Chuck Taylor. That's the more interesting thing about it, because he was like, it was a bit dumbfounded, he didn't know what to do, and he was just like, and when they faded to black, you just saw him like, who should I side with? Like, what's going on? So I think he's also just as important. And yeah, it's about time. It's long overdue. I think the match between Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta is going to be great, because I always like Trent, and Chuck Taylor is actually underrated as well. His work is very good. I think he just gets too much slack and it's unneeded. He's great in the ring. But I know he's injured for the time being. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. Long time coming. I hope they don't dwindle this and put this in Rampage like they did with Santana and Ortiz. Build this up. Don't mess that up. Put this. I think this is good enough to be on Dynamite for sure. So it was good.
You've given me an idea, Chaos, and it's a really bad idea. But Christian Cage obviously isn't in the best way right now. He probably needs something new as well to update him. Well, how about he comes back with his family and he gets a second wife, and Sue is his second wife, and Trent is his new son, despite the fact Trent's almost as old as him.
Dude,
there we are.
No.
I was thinking American Mother's Day special, Sue versus Mama Wayne, 1-on-1 street fight.
Yes, please. And Mother Wayne is gonna win.
Happy Mother's Day.
Vince Russo, are you around? What's going on here?
But on that note, let's talk about the segment, which quite a few people in our comments earlier were saying was the best contract signing in quite a while. I don't know if I'd quite go that far, but I loved this. I really, really did. Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, anything Swerve touches turns to gold at the minute. He really, really does. And this was no different at all. I'm really looking forward to seeing the match between Swerve and Joe and signing the contract with his blood. I mean, that was fun, wasn't it? Chaos, I'll start with you on this one. What was your thoughts?
Boy, this, to my opinion, saved this episode of Dynamite, because
for
the majority of it, it was, in my opinion, was quite mid. So there was some high points with the Young Bucks match. and the Osprey and Hobbs, but the rest of it was just mediocre. It was meaty. But yeah, the contract signing was what definitely saved this episode to elevate it from mid to decent. It was a decent episode. Joe, great on the mic as he always is. That Diddy line. Look, I was driving whilst I was watching Dynamite. By the way, kids, do not drive and watch Dynamite at the same time. Only big men can do that. All right, grown men can do that.
No men can do that. Disclaimer: no men can do that.
Mostly audio.
Anyway, yeah. So once I was doing that, when he said that line, I had to pull over and then reel that back about a couple of times because I was like, that is really riding the line right now, considering what he said. But it was awesome. Swerve obviously came back with he's got the keys to the dynasty. It's his time, and try choke him with the chain. Joe was like, "What the hell you doing, bro?" Smacked him, got the chain, and just bludgeoned him with the chain. Awesome visuals. Makes Joe look like a legit monster. He has a huge mountain to overcome. And then the finishing touch, like you said, he just said, like, "Is that all you got, boy? If that's all you got, I'm gonna take that title, boy." And then he just wiped the blood and you couldn't see his signature afterwards, but yeah, he wiped the blood on the contract. And yeah, I'm definitely hyped for this match. I can't wait for it to happen. Please make Swerve champion. Joe has had a decent time at the top. He's been a great champion. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad they didn't make him like a transitional champion. I don't think he's really like that. I think he's been a legit good champion. But yeah, this is Swerve's time, man. Give him a long title reign, into All In, into give him a year run. He deserves it. And I'm excited, man. It was a great, nice little end to and you saw the little fear in Joe's eyes when he said, "Is that all you got?" And he came back and started beating him down. It was great, man. Great.
It really was, and it's something that Shard's been saying a lot lately, where you kind of need to strike while the iron's hot with Swerve Strickland. And I think, not that it's cooling at all, it's still boiling hot, but you got to do it now. I think if you wait until any later than Dynasty, I think you might have missed the best time to do it. Because, like you said, Chaos, I do think that there could be a year in this championship reign if Swerve does win. But what are your thoughts, Clark?
I so completely agree. So I'm actually gonna be pretty quick here. Like, I couldn't agree more. Honestly, I want to add Swerve is 2 for 2 in my eyes on AEW contract signings. I loved the Hangman contract signing. It was outstanding. And then you have the blood in this one, all of it. I don't know if it's just Swerve, but dude, like, I used to make fun of contract signings all the time, and I was kind of excited about this one last night, and then they delivered. I was like, no way. Contract signings are back. Swerve did it. Like,
they're back
and like Chaos said, the Diddy lyric got me way too good. Way too good. I was all fired up. The whole thing, the chain, everything. Swerve's facial expressions might be the best in all of wrestling right now. It's really, really impressive. His facials when he's selling, when he's talking, it's so drastic, and so you can feel the emotion, and it so lands in the context of the story that's being told on screen. It's one of the most impressive things to me about Swerve Strickland, and I absolutely agree. The time is now. Strike while the iron's hot. Ride the big wave. As long as you can, man. Ride the big wave. Absolutely. I am with that. Swerve Strickland, AEW World Champ, deserved. One of the best runs I've seen in a long time from anybody, any company. Really, really, really great stuff every week.
Yeah, it's true. He is absolutely on fire right now. And I mean, a lot of people in the comments are agreeing as well. David Marge is agreeing, and so earlier was Matt Williams as well. And Sonny Dalton and Sandy is agreeing as well over on Instagram. But now, guys, I want to move on to a segment which I've never been a part of before. This kind of feels like unfamiliar territory for me because it is Throwback Thursday. And today we're talking, as suggested by Clark Taylor, we're talking our top 3 favorite WrestleManias of all time. Now, just to be clear, favorite and best are 2 different things. Favorite can be a personal connection, whatever, right? Just this is a personal opinion, and very possibly there's bias involved, all of that. But Clark, why don't you kick us off? What are your top 3 WrestleManias of all time?
Tons of bias involved here. I'll go reverse order to make this a little bit more fun. I'm actually going to go with kind of a wild one here. I'm going to go with WrestleMania 18 at number 3.
Okay.
And as much as like 17 should be on my list, it's actually stunningly not. I love 17 for a lot of reasons, but 18 I watched cool little party at my house with a bunch of friends and my mom, and it was awesome and like just an amazing show, a lot of memories. Love the Hogan Rock match. A lot of things about 18 I loved in Toronto. So I'm going with that one at 3. At 2, selfishly, I gotta go with 21 in Hollywood. I was lucky enough to attend now 4 total manias in Southern California. Needless to say, 16 did not make the list. 39 was very close to making the list, but 21 was so cool, and it was such a transitional period for the WWE, such a big deal. You had Batista going over Triple H, and you had Cena going over JBL. In the same night, you also had the first Money in the Bank match. Edge goes over in that one. Such a cool mania, such an amazing one to be at. Wild that was at now Crypto Arena, formerly known as Staples, where we saw Monday Night Raw, a year ago yesterday, basically. But that's one of my all-time favorites. And then my last one, which one's coming next. WrestleMania 12, my first ever show I went to in Anaheim, Sean and Brett. It's my favorite because I was there. I was a little kid. I fell in love with it. I'll never forget looking up in the rafters. I hear Sean's music. My dad goes, look, big spotlight. Then he does the zip line down to the ring. 60 minutes, boyhood dream realized. Tons of great matches, tons of history. It's Diesel's. It's Kevin Nash's last match in the WWE. It's Undertaker. The streak continues. Triple H loses to Ultimate Warrior. You have Roddy Piper and Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, basically Dustin Reynolds on this card. It's a classic. Is it the best show? No. Is it my favorite? Yes. Selfishly, it is what brought me to the dance. Absolutely. And those are my 3.
Just wait until what I'm going to say. It is, mine are a lot more controversial. But before we get to minor chaoses, we've actually, it's Throwback Thursday, usually Anthony's show, and he sent in his this week. So let me play Anthony's top 3 favorite WrestleManias.
Hey everybody, if you're seeing this, that means I unfortunately couldn't make it there live for Throwback Thursday this week, but I wanted to give my picks anyway for the 3 greatest WrestleManias of all time, in my opinion. I'll go with WrestleMania 17 as number 1. It is still widely regarded as the greatest of all time from top to bottom, an incredible card. And of course, it featured the first TLC match. Number 2 is the first WrestleMania I ever saw, which was WrestleMania 14. It's one that still holds up to this day, and it really helped turn the tide for WWF to overtake WCW in the Monday Night Wars. And lastly, I'm going to go WrestleMania 25. It is a solid card, and of course it features the first Shawn Michaels Undertaker WrestleMania match, which to me is still the greatest of all time. And selfishly, if I have to throw in a 4th, I had a blast last year with the crew at WrestleMania 39. It was a blast. I'll see you guys next week. Hey everybody.
I almost played it again in the second time. Great picks, Anthony. Great picks indeed. Before I get on to Mind Chaos, I want to hear yours. You've been to quite a lot of WrestleManias as well. What are your top 3?
Yeah. So 2 of them are the ones I actually have attended. I was trying to think of it at the top of my head how many I've seen altogether. But yeah, I've been to a few. But the number 3 I will put is going to be actually WrestleMania 33. And that one is specifically is when the Hardys returned. I was actually there to be part of history, and I still got the video. I still watch it now and again. Like I've never marked out for someone as loud as I did. Like you thought that the way I marked out when Reigns won last year, I lost my voice for a good couple days when I saw them actually return. It was such a feel good moment. There were some good matches in there in between as well. But yeah, the atmosphere and the stage set was awesome. It was just absolutely great. The second one, it would actually be WrestleMania 19, and that is when obviously it was The Rock and Austin's final match. You had the street fight. like Jericho against Shawn Michaels as well. And yeah, it was I thought that was a very solid pay-per-view, and it was one of my first purchases of WrestleMania as well. So it always hold a very a dear part of what's that saying? It will hold a special place in my heart, basically.
Special place. There you go. Yeah.
Has to go. Yeah. So yeah, that was quite cool. And obviously, number one, it has to. Being biased, but like you say, it's fair. So it has to be last year. The WrestleMania 39. I feel like the fact that was actually my first Mania that I actually went with like my friends. Every Mania I went is either with family or with my partner. This one, the fact that I actually went with friends that is more like-minded and with just as much as a wrestling fan as I am, it made it even more special. And yeah, it was just a memorable week all around. We saw all kinds of promotions, but WrestleMania was just an awesome 2-night event. And yeah, so many good memories, man. So and also had the best stage set as well. So I can't fault it as well. Absolutely.
I'm like, I might have to put that back in my list, but it's not. I'm like,
too late. Don't take back.
Anthony today on his Instagram posted like a photo montage of this day last year, because on this day last year WrestleMania had already happened, but we went to Star Wars after it, right? Not Star Wars. We went to Disneyland, and there was a Star Wars place in Disneyland. We went to the Star Wars place, and the line was, it was a year ago. We went there and we had drinks, whatever, in the bar, and Ben got arrested by stormtroopers. And I don't think I've told this story on air, so I'm going to do it. I went to the toilet. I came out and I couldn't see any of the guys anywhere. I was thinking, where are they? So I called Clark. I had my phone in my hand, and a stormtrooper comes up from behind me, takes my phone, starts talking to Clark on it. Clark hangs up. He's not having any of it.
I was like, yeah, whatever.
And there was just a bunch of kids surrounding me, and it was just one of the funniest moments ever. But the point is chaos. Like, I agree, all the moments surrounding that Mania as well, that entire trip, it makes the feeling of that Mania even better. And I mean, Sonny Dalton and Sandy saying that his first one, he was there for WrestleMania 13, Brett and Austin in Chicago. So I mean, that is a great one indeed. But guys, mine are very biased, very, very, very biased. And we're gonna start off at number 3. I'm gonna do it in order. 3's the worst, 1's the best. At number 3, I'm about to give my worst take of all time. My absolute worst take I've ever given. I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth. My third favorite WrestleMania is WrestleMania 32, because it was the first one which I watched live with friends. And I'm going to be honest, I loved it live. That ladder match was so fun. Seeing Zack Ryder win, I was marking out. Me and my friends filmed our condolences to the family of Shane McMahon after he jumped off the Hell in a Cell, because we genuinely thought he died, right? We were absolutely loving it. We were big Roman Reigns fans. He beat Triple H, AJ Styles, Chris Jericho. I mean, I also loved the stage. I loved the stage for it. I loved the Flow Rider song as well, the theme music, the vibe of it, the color scheme. Oh, also the women's 3-way. How can I not bring that up? That was actually my highlight of the night. I actually thought with the cards that they were dealt that Mania, they did a pretty good job, despite the fact that some stuff on that card was, well, it was a little rubbish, to say the least. Brock Lesnar, Dean Ambrose comes to mind. But in general, I really, really do think that's an underrated Mania, dare I say. But because of personal bias, it's in my top 3. And I can see you guys looking at me like, what on earth?
No, I think it's fair. Because of the bias. Because of the bias, it's fair.
Exactly.
But,
wait. I'll go to a little interference again. One moment.
Yeah, I'm here as always. Look, I'm always watching. I need to make sure everything's kept.
You watched any WrestleMania?
As always. But look, I mean, I'm just going to say here, you getting arrested by stormtroopers is probably a very big highlight of mine, Allison. Decide I was not getting served drinks at the place, and that's a very big stickler for me.
It was just me and Chaos. Remember, it was me and Chaos hanging in the bar.
Yeah, look, my liver was very unhappy with me that day. We need that to live, pretty much. But like, I'll just say as well, for WrestleManias, I'll throw my quick throwback. I've only actually ever seen 3, so I'm just going to say 36, 38, 39 in 3-to-1 order. So yeah, just to make everything a bit crazier. And finally, I'll sign off by saying, as always, Chaos, your hair's actually going to fit when Allison has to shave it because Roman's going to spear Cody into the goddamn ring post. So
yes, souls
yeah,
agreeing. Yes.
You got to put up something as well. You got to put a bet. I want you to do at least 30 or 40 press-ups if he wins.
You know
Cody
what?
wins.
You know what? Fine. Public
Done.
announcement here right now. I will announce my bet tomorrow on the daily when I am on.
Cool. Yeah, we all got to put bets. Yeah.
I'll do 30 press-ups. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll shave my
50.
50?
No, 40.
Okay.
40. Yeah, there we go.
40.
Okay. Cool.
40. Okay, cool. 40 done deal, shaking hands. I do 50 every single morning, Chaos. So,
Ew.
yeah, I'm actually, I do
got
every
something
morning.
else.
First thing I wake up, 50 push-ups.
We talking about
40.
push-ups?
It'll be fine. Anyway, moving on. I wanted to give my top 2, right? At number 2, it was the first WrestleMania when I was a fan. I didn't actually get to watch it until years later. I could only see highlights and clips online, but it felt like I watched it because I was that invested into it. And it was WrestleMania 25. Same reason as Anthony, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, the ladder match, the entire vibe of the place. I'd never seen something like it, and it hooked me in, and I became a wrestling fan that day. Well, I fell in love with it that day, I should say. I was watching SmackDown a few months before that, but at number 1, my favorite WrestleMania of all time, it's predictable, WrestleMania 39. Obviously, we were all there. We've just told the stories. I mean,
now I feel like a loser. I should have had it higher on my list.
Clark organized the trip, and he's the only one who didn't have it on his list.
It was like the most fun I've ever had at a Mania. I thought we were talking about the Mania. The experiences, yeah. It's the best.
I said
it was most
personal
fun.
biased. It's allowed.
I had the most
it's completely
fun.
and utterly allowed. Well, David Marge is joining the bet. I'll do 100 if Cody wins.
Screw that. You're doing 100. 100.
At least.
I'm not doing 100.
100. No. 100.
No, I should. No, you can't change it. You can't change a bet. We shook on it.
Okay.
No shake. How did I shake? I'm not there.
I said, Joe was shaking on it. That's what I said.
I would risk my hair, but it's pretty irrelevant these days. I'll shave my chest hair if Cody wins.
Yes, sir.
I'll shave my chest hair if Cody wins.
You have to get it waxed, Clark.
I'll do it, and I'll get it videoed. Yeah, I'll wax it if Cody wins.
So
it's such a hassle.
Something.
Well, yeah, I've got Roman going over, man.
Wow, you guys are bugging.
Yeah.
All right,
cool. Way on it.
Clark have been on the pro Roman going over train literally since last Mania.
I was secretly on it last year, and now I'm on it again.
Now I'm publicly on it. Watch along, Ben.
Chaos was on Roman Reigns' team last year. Now he's Mr. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare.
Well, be a realist.
There will be is your nightmare when you got to shave your hair, Chaos. But on that note, let's wrap up this show. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe on any of the platforms. Please support us. Cheeky 5 stars on Spotify makes my day. We'll be back tomorrow, same time to preview the WrestleMania weekend, where Bloodsport's literally started 4 minutes ago. It's gonna be great. I'm excited. I'm pumped, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, Clark. No, thank you, Chaos. Thank you, Clark.